Welcome class. In this video, we're going to be going over Lab 1H, and Lab 1H is about the time use data we've been collecting. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you have the data. And to get that data, you could find it on Schoology, or you could also export, upload, and import from mobilize.lausd.net. If you've forgotten how to do that, I recommend going to the video that we created, or that I created a few weeks ago, and just refresh your memory. So let's get started. I'm going to load Lab 8, and it's going to give us our R time. That's what the lab is called. And I got some instructions in the hashtag so for you guys to follow along. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of reformat Timeuse, and that's just going to help clean it. When you run it, you really shouldn't see anything. For questions 1 through 3, let's go ahead and start investigating the data. I think it's going to ask you how many observations and how many variables, and then what are the names of the data. And actually it's questions 1 through 2, so I'm going to change that. So there's many different ways to figure out your observations. I could already tell from looking right here that we have 129 observations and 20 variables, but let's just double check to make sure that that works. And if you look down here, you can. Let's look at our names, which is our variable names. Okay, so user ID, that's your guys' ID, and this is all the things you guys selected we've been doing over the last few weeks. So I'm specifically going to be asking the statistical question, I wonder if students in our class spend more time playing video games than doing homework. So to answer that, I could go ahead and run a histogram, bar chart, depending on the variable, if it's categorical or numerical. But I'm just going to experiment, and I really want you guys to take this lab and try do new things. If it doesn't work, cool. If it does work, great. If it answers your question, even better. But this lab is all about trying to explore how to solve statistical questions. So before I look and start doing my investigations, I want to see what the structure looks like. And then I see a lot of factors. So that's telling me that a lot of these are all viewed as characters or categorical variables. But I want to be looking at the numbers, and I want to use them as numerical numbers. So let's go ahead and run a histogram of homework, which is one of the variables I'm investigating, and see what happens. So homework not found. So let's run the names again. Let's see if I did a typo. Right there. There we go. So this is kind of confusing. I see the not displayed, and I knew that was going to give me a problem. So I'm already thinking about, well, maybe I could filter out the not displayed, because not displayed just means that they have 0. So we know that there's a lot of zeros out there. Like a lot of people did not do any homework or spend any time doing homework. So let's go ahead and see if we could figure out a way to do that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to change the homework file as a numerical variable so that our histogram looks more clean. To do that, I'm going to go back to, I believe it was Lab 1F, where we cleaned the data. And I'm going to use the same code, but all I'm going to do is rename the file to Timeuse homework. And then I'm going to change the variable homework as a numeric variable. So let's run that. I don't see any red warnings down there, so I think it went good. And to make sure, let's view Timeuse homework and scroll over to homework. All right, that looks good. Let's go ahead and look at the structure. So I'm going to type in str Timeuse homework. Now I'm doing this just to double check to make sure that it worked. So let's see if homework is now a numerical variable. And then there we go. Great. So that worked. So now let's kind of actually get into some investigating. I wanted to filter out all of the homework that is the dot not displayed. So what I'm going to be doing is use this new feature called filter. I think we used it at one point, but I just wanted to remind you guys how it works. So filter is going to be from the new data file I created. and then I want to pull out or extract all of those values that are above 0. Because right now it looks really skewed, and I already know that most of you did not spend any time on homework, but let's look at the people that did. So let's run this code. All right. And I'm going to run the histogram with our new database, Timeuse homework, and let's see what happens. Ooh, I think it worked. So let's double check. Let's kind of make it bigger. So look at that. So now we've created the histogram with homework. This is the minutes and then the count. So looking at this, I'd say of the people that actually spent time doing homework, they were doing it for more than 15 minutes. So that's telling us a lot of information. And this is an example of a visualization that I'd want to copy and paste in the Google document as just like part of my solution or to answer that. So my original question was, I wonder if students in our class spend more time playing video games than doing homework. So I have this visual. So I'm going to go through the same steps and make playing video games a numerical variable, and then I'm going to filter it, and then I'm going to start comparing and contrasting. All right, so this is just one thing you can do. There are plenty of things you guys can do. I suggest you kind of work with your partners and your group mates, and don't be afraid to try something. You never know, it may work. Okay, and let's get going and have fun with this next lab.